to be here with Coach, the opportunity that we have before us. It was a very, very easy decision for me for a lot of reasons, and I'm sure as we go through the question and answers, some of those reasons will come out. But we're just looking forward to getting started, to meet the players, obviously get into off-season conditioning, spring practice, implement the defensive structure. Obviously, there's some things in the defense that will be quite similar just because of the coaching tree. So that's a good thing. Go through spring practice and do everything we can to build a championship-type program, a championship-type defense. Auburn has a history of being a hard-nosed physical defense for years and years, ever since I was a young guy growing up in this state with a high school coach as a father. I certainly know the tradition and the history of Auburn's hard-nosed defenses, and looking forward to be a part of that. And with that, I'll open it up with questions.
Could you talk about some of the reasons why it's a good move for you?
Well, there's a lot of them, but the real reason that it comes down, other than just the normal coaching things, and that Coach Malzahn being the kind of person he is, the kind of leader he is, that was a key component for me personally. Then the fact that there is tradition and history here to win championships, to play hard-nosed defense. But from a personal standpoint, it's the state and this university has a large part of me in it. And that my first game was in Jordan-Hare Stadium. When Larry Blakeney, who played for my dad, was playing for the Auburn Tigers, my dad brought me to my first college game in this stadium. David Housel, who was the athletic director here, played for my father in high school. And so there's those kind of things. My younger brother, who is sitting here with us today, works in the athletic department here as an associate athletic director. Not sure what he does, but he has a job here. And my daughter's a graduate from here. My mom lives in Prattville. There were just a lot of things that just made it work.
Style of play, as a defensive coordinator, have you had a chance to look at what Auburn did last year, and it's going to be fairly similar to your philosophy of defense and what they were doing?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do, there is a philosophy, but it's still that you have to stop the run. You have to be physical. You got to eliminate big plays in this league now because it's a big play league in a lot of ways. So there's those kind of things. But when you're a defensive coordinator in this league and you have common opponents and you're watching other offenses, obviously you see the other defenses against it, so you see the style of play, you see what they did against them, and then over the course of the year of doing that every week, you kind of get familiar with the style of the type defensive linemen, the type linebackers, the type DBs that they have. And so it just becomes, through osmosis, a familiarity. Plus, because of being in the SEC, most of the guys on the roster we had evaluated at some point in time wherever I was as a prospect. So I saw those guys, I knew who they were, and so that part of it ties in of really building that to what they can do. It's not so much what you know as a coach; it's what the players can do, what they can execute. So there'll always be tweaking of a style. I don't think in this day and age that you can just go in and throw a playbook down and say, this is what we do and this is how we do it and conform to it. I think you got to find the strength and the weaknesses of your players, improve upon the weaknesses and build on the strengths, and sometimes that means doing some things different than you've done it before.
Have you made any decisions about your staff and who you'll bring with you?
Well, that's a little bit of a head coach's question. But coaches afford me the opportunity to have some input in that. We're still in the process of it, and when Coach decides that has come to the final point, then I'm sure he'll pass it along.
You're going to be the 7th defensive coordinator here in a decade. That's very tough for stability purposes and to have success. Why do you believe it's possible for you to have success with that much instability?
Well, I've been married 35 years, and I was probably the 8th or 9th choice of hers. So, You know, sometimes you just hit the right place with the right guy, and it's the right place with the right people, and it works, and we're going to make it work. So I'm not concerned with that at all.
How many years is the deal? How long-term is the deal?
Well, I don't, that's kind of, at some point in time, they go through their procedure. You know, we have all kind of people. I don't know how to read a contract. So I just know that I'm the defensive coordinator here, and there were some general terms, but coach will address that when it comes to that point.
Kevin, you like to base out of a 3-4, 4-3, what philosophy do you usually have?
Well, I think you got to be able to do both in this league. You got to be able to mix it up, and so, you know, if you watch the New England Patriots play, they'll tell you they're a 3-4 team, but then they line up in a 4-3 a good bit. So it's not so much where we start with it. The personnel will have a lot to do with that, but we will do both things.
Kevin, can you kind of announce, I mean, can you kind of give us a timeline of, like, so you were hired last Wednesday, so what's it kind of been like for you, like immediately left after the bowl, and then like, so what's kind of been what you've been doing since you got hired?
Well, I've been on the phone a lot with Coach, because after everything was final, then I got on a plane and came to meet with Coach in Birmingham. Then we've been on the phone constantly as I went back and got my stuff to drive up here. And so, and I didn't need a GPS to get to Auburn, by the way. I knew exactly where I was going. And so it's been a lot of just talking to different potential candidates for the staff, talking to recruits, and visiting with Coach. I know Ms. Christie would be glad to have a conversation with him in which he doesn't have a cell phone in his hand very soon. So hopefully we can get all this hiring process done and recruiting over with.
Have you even started looking at film from like the team and getting kind of familiarized with players you have right now?
Well, I did just for some, you know, it's all on iPad now, so, and I've actually learned how to watch film on iPad, and that's a feat for a guy that's my age. Those players, they can do all kinds of things on those iPads, but for us, I did just because I wanted to, and had a few minutes, I did pull up some tape and watch it.
Kevin, is there a position that you prefer to coach in addition to be coordinator?
No, not really. Not really. That's, I mean, I've kind of done it all, except I'm not too thrilled about coaching nose guards and tackles for a living, but I could do it.
What were your takeaways from watching the tape? Because this is a defense that finished in the bottom four of the SEC in most categories. So what was your takeaways of watching this?
Well, I think the thing that came out is one of the games I watched happened to be just because it was on my iPad and easy to find. I knew exactly where it was early in the season against LSU. And then I watched the bowl game. And I think the thing that I take away from that is it was a defense that grew and matured and got better and better and better as the year went on. And I thought, you know, the last couple of games really was a totally different defensive unit than what started the season.
What's been your message to the recruits? I mean, you know, having to introduce them to a whole new kind of thing with about a month left until signing day. What's kind of been your message to them?
Well, just like it is anything, recruiting is fun. It's kind of, you get a lot of joy out of it. It's almost like a hobby. And so it's not a hard thing to do. If you yourself believe in something, then you can market the positives, you know, the head coach, what kind of person he is, the system, the players we have here, the building process toward becoming champions. That's fun to do. So it's not a hard message at all. And this university, as some of you do, I hope you know this, if you're sitting in this room, this is a very unique place. You know, the Auburn family, what it means to the people who support this university, what football means to it, the pride in the university, the love for the program, is not something that's hard for players to see, for prospects to see. And it's easy for me because as a, you know, young first, second, third, fourth grader, growing up in this stadium, coming here. I mean, I wore number 7 in junior high, and I was a quarterback at Prattville Junior High. And I don't think I need to tell you why I wore number 7. To get a Heisman Trophy and here, Pat Sullivan. Those kind of things, I experienced that as a youngster in this state, following this program. So the very things that I lived, it's easy to present to the prospects, and what this place is and what it stands for, and the family that exists here, the pride that exists here in the football program, and what it means to be an Auburn Tiger. That's not a hard sell.
Kevin, how long did you live in this state?
Well, which time? My mom is from West Blockton. My dad is from Centerville. That's both in Bibb County. My dad was a high school coach. We lived on Highway 82 in Prattville, in Billingsley, in Bibb County, in Centerville, in Tuscaloosa, and in Gordo. So if it's on Highway 82, I know where it's at. And then when I was in the 8th grade, my dad's high school coach at Bibb County High School was the superintendent of schools in South Carolina, and he hired my dad up there. My mom and dad stayed up there 27 years and then moved back to the family farm in Bibb County. And then I've worked in this state two times previously.
But you basically were here till you were in the 8th grade.
Yes. You know, to size it up for you, I'm not positive of this, but other than my brother at East Carolina and my 2 children, I only know 2 relatives that don't live within about 100 miles of where we're standing right now.
I know you're familiar with Coach Muschamp just from,
Very.
earnings over the years. From a personality and from a coaching standpoint, how would you say you're similar or different from Coach Muschamp?
Well, I don't know. I'll let you assess that. I know how I am. I'm not going to get into assessing Will. We're good friends. Obviously, there's some philosophical things defensively that we speak the same language. So in terms of terminology, there's a lot of similarity in that. As far as coaching styles, that's up to somebody else.
Kevin, on that same note though, what kind of assurances were you able to give Gus that you were going to be here long-term, you may honor a long-term contract, because you'll be the 3rd defensive coordinator he's hired. I'm pretty sure he's tired of doing this.
Well, he has the best clause in my contract that anybody could. My wife said that we're going to Auburn and we're staying at Auburn. So there's no ink that could give more guarantee than that. I'm 57 or 58. I don't even know what I am. But I want to be here the duration of my coaching career. And I've never been able to say that before. And part of the reason is I saw my first game here. It'll be just fine with me that I coached my last game.
Do you remember that first game?
I do. I was in the 1st grade. We drove from Gordo, Alabama. I thought we were going halfway across the country. We drove 82 the whole way. I know exactly where I sat. I can take you right over there and show you where I sat. The stadium's a little different now. Then walked back up this street to Sewell Hall with Larry Blakeney and had his chin strap. If you probably went to mine and Jeff's room as a child, you could probably still find Larry's chin strap somewhere in there.
You remember who it was against, who they played?
I don't. I do remember this, though. Probably one of the saddest days of my life was, I think it was 65 or 66. Larry started quarterback against Georgia Tech. It rained really, really hard that day. I remember how, and we lost to Georgia Tech, and I was a sad, sad guy driving back to Billingsley, Alabama, because the Auburn Tigers got beat by Georgia Tech in a rainstorm in Legion Field. So I've got a lot of memories about this place.
Time for a few more. You've given assurances to Auburn about what you plan to do for the future. Have they given you certain assurances in that contract, though? Because do you have any concerns or questions about the future from the program side?
No, not at all. I can assure